Welcome one and all to the Deku Palace. We've got quite a bit of running around to do, so make sure you have your walking shoes ready. Once you regain control of Link, you want to run across the wooden bridge and speak with the entrance guards, who will not let outsiders into the palace. You want to put on the Deku mask instead and speak with them again. They'll explain that you normally aren't allowed inside, but today is a very special occasion, so you can run ahead through the doorway that is straight ahead, that is labeled as the Royal Chamber. Now, the monkeys from before were a little vague about what's going on, so if you chat with the Deku in here, you'll discover that the monkey, who is tied up on the other side of the cage, went along with the princess to the temple in Woodfall, but only the monkey came out, so they think that he did something terrible to her, or ate her, or something. Either way, her father, the king, is furious and is going to torture the monkey later. All the Deku are invited to witness this, if you like, and we don't really know what horrible things they have planned. I mean, who knows? Wooden plant creatures, you know, what are they capable of? Maybe they can make you all itchy like poison ivy. Or maybe they'll just tie you up and feed you to a giant Deku Baba to sacrifice. Anyway, all you have to do here is speak with the king to move onward in the game, but I'm just showing off everything they say, and so when you're all done, go ahead and go outside. So as you emerge from the royal chamber, one of the monkeys from earlier will come and harass you. He explains that they know of a secret way into the cage, but it's in a high place. The natural conclusion is that you'll need a bean from the bean seller who lives underground. Why, of course, why didn't I think of that? That's a totally logical line of reasoning. I need to get to a high place, so I must need to find a random pale guy with a bean addiction. Right. So the monkey then explains that once you get the bean, you just want to plant it in some soft soil in the outer garden. Then we'll be able to get to this mysterious secret entrance that he speaks of. After that, he'll then run off, leaving us to wander around on our own. So at this point, we have two different directions we can go. If you'd like to get a piece of heart, then follow along with me to the west side of the palace, according to our mini-map, where we will find a prize at the end. It's pretty self-explanatory, really. The Deku guards patrol back and forth, but they only see what's right in front of them for the most part. As long as you stay out of their line of sight and don't walk too close to them, you should easily be able to sneak past them. You want to use the bushes that are all over to conceal yourself, and collect rupees along the way if you like. We're going to need at least 10 to purchase a magic bean, which you probably already have already. Now it's ironic that we're allowed into the royal chamber with the king, but these side areas that are unimportant have tons of guards, kind of reminiscent of the last game actually, which had tons of soldiers patrolling inside the castle gardens.
So what do you do for a living, Jeff?
Well, I make sure nobody looks at the royal topiaries and the royal flowers.
Wow, you're so cool.
I know, right?
Once you get to the end, you want to watch out for the final patrols, which kind of circle around their little patch of bushes, like clockwise and counterclockwise. It makes it a little more difficult. Man, these guys are protective of their garden. It's ironic, because it looks like it's just like a bunch of carrots and lettuce or something, but you want to sneak past the last guard and collect the piece of heart. After that, you can just get caught by one of the guards to return to the beginning. You can sneak all the way back if you want, but this is just faster this way. So speak with the entrance guards again while wearing the Deku mask, and this time go east, which leads to the bean salesman. It's pretty much the same as the other side, so just snag rupees along the way if you want, and avoid being seen by the guards. Now, one quick tip for you is if you have trouble with these Deku guards and find them confusing or whatnot, you can always come back here at night, or play the Song of Double Time to skip ahead to nighttime. You'll be able to actually see their line of sights in the form of, like, dots, and it's right in front of them. It looks kind of like something out of Pac-Man. I'm not really sure why the game does this, but it does make it easier. So if you have trouble, then come back at night. So much later in the game, you actually can optionally get the Stone Mask, which is a very useful face piece that lets you walk right past guards, and it essentially makes you invisible to them. So it's kind of cool, but as I said, it's much later in the game, so there's tons of other places you can use it too. It's just kind of a shame that you can't actually get it this early on. At the very end of this side, you'll come to a hole in the ground. You want to fall down it and around the corner to find the bean salesman, just chilling out on a rug and eating his beans. You want to go ahead and speak with him, and he'll so generously give you the first bean for free. But after that, there'll be a 10 rupee apiece charge. So magic beans were in the previous game as well, and it's pretty much the exact same this time around, and once you find a soft soil location, you can plant a bean there, and then you'll have to pour some fresh spring water on it, or if it's raining, it'll grow as well. So it'll grow into a magic bean plant, which helps you to get to high places. It's not as cool this time around, just because we also have Deku flowers that we use all the time, and serve the exact same purpose, huh? So magic beans work kind of the same, but they require more steps, so why do we have magic beans? Anyway, go ahead and purchase another one if you like. I'm going to just go ahead and use one over here to demonstrate how it works. This is kind of a side area that's training. But in one side of the cave, there's a soft soil location, so plant a magic bean here if you want to test it out, and then stand in the shallow water here, and the sign here says that it's fresh spring water that's available free of charge by the tourist information place we saw earlier. So my question is, how did they get it in here? And why is there a sign? Like, aren't they like allowed? They're not even allowed into the Deku Palace at all. So how did they get fresh spring water here and label it as their own? Anyway, so swipe a bottle over the water to fill it with fresh spring water, and then dump it over the plant to make it grow. I'm going to ride the magic bean plant to the upper ledge and open the large chest to get a red rupee. So bring us out slightly ahead, because we paid 10 rupees for the magic bean. This is all kind of pointless really, but it's just training sort of to show how it works. So you can skip this if you like. You only really need the single magic bean and some fresh spring water before you leave. So make sure you get those. 1 magic bean and 1 fresh spring water. So after you leave that underground cavern, just get caught by one of the guards to return to the start of the area. Now the monkey earlier mentioned that you needed a bean to use in the outer garden. So to get there, you want to just hop across the lily pads here that leads to the far right side of the minimap to the east. So if you're impatient like me, you can also use the A button just after you leave a solid surface, or just before you leave a solid surface that is, and you'll zip across the water really fast. This is kind of cool. So once you make it all the way over there, you can kill the mini Baba here for some extra Deku Nuts, which will be helpful here in a moment, as you'll see. The soft soil location is patiently awaiting you next to the wall, so plant a magic bean here, and give it a little love by pouring on it the fresh spring water that you snagged earlier. Now, alternatively, you can also play the Song of Double Time to take you to the second day, because on day 2 at 7 a.m. it starts raining, which will also make the plant grow, so you don't actually have to have fresh spring water. Yeah. After you use the plant to get into the upper area of the gardens, you'll find a bunch of mad scrubs on the platforms. This new enemy shoots Deku Nuts at you from a distance, and they make flying around this area hazardous. Now, if one of them hits you, you could fall down and have to start over again, so it's very annoying. There's a couple ways to deal with them, though, and probably the easiest is to simply use a charged-up Bubble Blast, but those kind of go all over the place, so it may take a few tries before you get it to actually hit it. So once you defeat one, you can use its Deku Flower as well to move further. Now, you can just fly right over them too, so it's just kind of your decision. Now, alternatively, you can also use the B button while flying to drop Deku Bombs, which are Deku Nuts, really. And it actually will kill these Mad Scrubs, which is kind of cool, since Deku Nuts usually only stun enemies. So this method is okay, but it can be slightly hard to aim as well. Now, I do want to mention real quick that it is possible to land on their platforms to kill them. But if you do that, you want to kill them with a bubble, because if you spin into them while standing on their really tiny platform, you'll most likely knock yourself off the ledge, since there's not much room. For the rest of these Mad Scrubs, I kept missing with my Deku Bombs, and I'll be the first to admit that I'm not the best aim with that particular weapon. So once you get to the last platform, just watch out, since it goes in kind of an L shape and takes longer to get over to the left side, so wait till it's coming towards you and then fly over to it. And once you grab it, then go ahead and make a run for it, and just turn around and wait for it to lift you up into the secret entrance that the monkey spoke of. This will take you right into the cell where the other monkey is being held captive, and the Deku seriously need to rethink their design for this cage, since it's not hard at all for someone to just climb out of here if they weren't tied up. Inside, you can chat with the monkey, and if you talk to him without wearing the Deku mask, he'll ask you to use your sword to cut the rope. Ironically, Link kind of like hits the bottom of the post no matter what you do. So any slash you use will just cause the monkey to give up in despair. Instead, he asks you to use your instrument, and your ocarina is apparently not good enough for him. So, well, excuse me, monkey. So put on the Deku mask and then use your ocarina again to form the Deku pipes. This makes the monkey incredibly excited because that's what the princess has. So the monkey then launches into his side of the story, and apparently he and the Deku princess went to the temple in Woodfall to try and figure out the source of the poisonous water. The temple is filled with all kinds of bad guys now, and the princess got trapped inside. It's not entirely clear if the monkey tried to go get help from the Deku initially or not, but either way, they saw him come out of the temple without the princess, and so they captured him. So now the king is furious and won't listen to him, and so he's pretty much doomed. Well, That's just poop on a stick, isn't it? So say yes both times he asks you to agree to help out and get the princess back, and then you will be allowed to go to the temple yourself. That's kind of cool. The monkey will then teach you the Sonata of Awakening, which is a mysterious song that is passed down through the Deku royal family that will open the temple. It also has the mysterious property of waking things up. I guess it wakes up the temple. But anyway, so we will use that one other time throughout this game as well. So that's kind of cool. Upon hearing the monkey teaching Link the Sonata of Awakening, the Deku King will exclaim that this is the proof they needed that the monkey did something terrible to the princess, so he orders them to initiate the punishment. You'll then be taken away with some parting words by the monkey who yells after you and tells you to head to the temple. At this point, you can actually re-enter the Deku King's chamber to witness their torture, which turns out to be dunking him in boiling liquid. For those of you who have played Ocarina of Time, you may recognize this urn because it was actually seen in one of the rooms in the Gerudo Fortress in Ocarina of Time. You can go there. It's in one of the side areas that most people don't really look at. But you can head there after you get the Gerudo membership card as well, and you can check it out. But there's an urn back there that is boiling like this, and I always kind of assumed that they were just making some soup or something for the kitchens that serves all the guards, I guess. But anyways, this only happens after learning the Sonata of Awakening, so you only have a brief amount of time where you can see this particular scene. I'm just throwing it in here for kicks. It's totally optional. You don't have to do this. When you're all done and ready to move on, go outside and join me for the next video where I will show you how to get to the Woodfall Temple.